Another sanctuary jurisdiction is back in the news based on an early investigation. We're joined today by Jason Hopkins, Investigative Associate at IRLI. Jason, welcome back. And last time you showed us some disturbing details about what's going on in Prince William County, Virginia. This time you found out something about another county near Washington, D.C. Tell us what you found.
Right, absolutely. So unlike Prince William County, Montgomery County, which is in Maryland, very close to DC, has been notorious for its sanctuary policies. It's a county, a jurisdiction that's already been well inundated with news reports, gotten national recognition, not in a good way, for its sanctuary policies and its consequences. What many in the public probably already know are about the numerous illegal aliens who have been charged with not just any crimes, but serious crimes, sexual abuse, rape of minors. And also these are aliens who had been previously subject to ICE detainers that were ignored. So with that in mind, early, we were very curious of what was going on in Montgomery County after Montgomery County had received so much negative attention, and County Executive Mark Elrich decided he would walk back a previous sanctuary order that he had given. And what IRLI was curious about was, okay, after they walked that back, how are they cooperating with ICE? What's going on? And what we found, it was disturbing, but unfortunately not really surprising. So to further explain, when Mark Elrich announced he was walking back his sanctuary order, he said he would provide designated areas for ICE agents to go into the county detention center to make apprehensions of illegal aliens who were there. They were wanted by ICE. So it kind of made us to believe that, there was more cooperation going on between Montgomery County and ICE. And so what we did was we filed, we placed a records request with them, and we said, okay, since that order was done, which this was, that walk back was done in November 2019, till this was done in around June. So between November 2019 to June, we asked, all right, we want to see the timestamps of when you notified ICE of an impending release of an illegal alien, and then the timestamps of when that individual was actually released. And we found out that there was many cases where Montgomery County was giving ICE just really no real heads up whatsoever before they released an alien. Keep in mind, ICE agents have to arrive from their Baltimore, because their headquarters in Maryland is in Baltimore, all the way over to Rockville, Maryland. Best case scenario, this is a 45-minute drive with absolutely no traffic, and assuming an agent's able to react to a notice immediately. And what we found was that they were giving these ICE agents barely any heads up. And in one case, a 28-minute heads up before they released an alien who was charged with second-degree rape and sexual abuse. So this isn't just some, petty crime here. So this is really compliance in name only. And what I mean by that is that you can say that you're giving ICE an opportunity to come make an apprehension, but if you're giving them no real time to actually get down to the detention center, you're really not even notifying ICE at all, because there's no way an agent can arrive on time, and these illegal aliens, again, charged with heinous crimes, are just going to be allowed to be released into the community.
Yeah. Now walk us through the normal process. Say you have a county that does not prescribe to any of these sanctuary protocols. What should happen when they pick up a person, he's in the county jail? What is supposed to transpire that they're not doing?
Right, yeah, and just to kind of walk you through the process for people who may not be too familiar with what I'm talking about, any individual who's arrested for, locally, by county sheriff's office or whatnot, say they got arrested for a DUI, they're booked and they're fingerprinted. All that information is shared with an FBI database. And then from there, the FBI will share that information with ICE. Now, this is where ICE finds out if there's been a local arrest of an illegal alien that they're looking for. If that information is there, it pings their system. They see like, oh, this guy was arrested. He's actually living here illegally. We want to get him. And so in a normal case, what will happen is once an ICE agent gets that ping, they will reach out to that law enforcement agency, whichever one it is, and say, hey, we're making a ICE detainer request, an immigration detainer request for that individual, which formally ask for 48 hours actually to hold that individual. Say that person is able to make bond and they're able to be released. Well, a detainer request will ask that that person will remain there in that detention center for at least 48 hours, giving more than enough time for an ICE agent to arrive and make an apprehension. This allows for a safe transfer of custody, right? Because we know this individual is in a detention center, they're not armed, it's in a controlled setting, it's safe for both parties. And for law enforcement agencies that work with ICE and they're not sanctuary jurisdictions, they will honor these requests. And, you know, they will hold on to that individual. For places like Montgomery County that don't, I mean, they don't honor the request. And, you know, these are aliens that are able to just be released out back into the public who could potentially commit more crimes. And we know that they do commit more crimes. I mean, it's happened across the country.
Anyone who follows the news knows that the far left, the anti-borders crowd, they have gone to great lengths to demonize ICE. They've said that they're akin to Gestapo and the like. Now, how would we respond to people of that mindset who are going to say, okay, they didn't give them proper notification. So what? They're foreign nationals, but they haven't been charged with, I'm sorry, they haven't been convicted of crimes. They've been charged with crimes. Why should they be deported instead of just getting the due process in the American criminal courts?
Well, for any individual who'd make that argument, they would be revealing that they don't understand the process between ICE and local law enforcement agencies. ICE, in fact, has policies in place where if they arrest and apprehend an illegal alien who's wanted for whatever local crime, maybe in a county or subcity somewhere else, ICE will hand that individual over to that jurisdiction so that they are faced with the justice system there. This has happened before where ICE will hand someone back, due process takes place. ICE does ask that once that due process is done and completed, that that individual be transferred back into ICE custody. So no, handing an individual being placed in ICE custody does not mean that they evade the justice system if they're wanted for a DUI or a rape or something else. It's not that they're never going to face that sort of justice. ICE does work with local jurisdictions in that regard. Interestingly enough, in that case, there have been examples where ICE has taken hold of an individual, placed someone in their custody who's wanted in a local jurisdiction, and it's a sanctuary jurisdiction, but ICE will actually have them sign a contract for them pledging that they will actually hand that person back, because there are cases where ICE will hand that individual over. Let's say it's Denver. I believe this is an example that happened out of Denver. And when that person faced the justice system there, they were, again, released back into the community where they could potentially reoffend, and ICE was not able to get them.
Now, in your investigation, the details of which can be seen at IRLI.org, I understand that you inquired to the county as far as the number of valid versus invalid detainer requests as defined by the county. Tell us a little bit about what you found there and your follow-up with them as far as defining the valid requests.
Right. So in between that time period that I was discussing earlier, so we're saying about the beginning of November 2019 to the beginning of June this year, we looked at how many ICE detainers were launched with Montgomery County. The total was 84. But even then, only about 56 were determined to be valid detainers. What does this mean? Montgomery County deems detainers placed against aliens that are charged with serious, quote, serious crimes are valid. Charged with second degree assault, something like that, maybe like a low-level theft, that would not be considered serious. Now, I'm kind of having to guess here because when I asked a follow-up question, I asked them, can you give me a concrete definition of a serious crime? They didn't answer that. I don't think they wanted to get into it. And when you look at the logs that we did place online, you can kind of see where that line is. But again, there's still nothing concrete on what constitutes a serious crime in Montgomery County.
Unbelievable. Now, people like Mark Elrich, these county leaders, when they get criticism of their sanctuary policies, we often get told by these people that, well, it's because we want to create a welcoming community and we are a witness to a serious crime. But what have you learned about what's the real result? at the end of the day, you're taking people who are likely committing criminal behavior and putting them back on the street. What is the result, the long-term, the overall result to the community when that's done?
Well, the ironic thing about the argument that County Executive Mark Elrich makes and other open borders advocates make, anti-ICE advocates make, is that these sanctuary policies, help the Latino community, they help the immigrant community, when in fact, and this is across the whole board, that individuals tend to commit crimes against members of their own community. So what does that mean? Many Latino immigrants living here illegally who have been charged with crimes, they're committing crimes against members of their own community. So when you have sanctuary laws in place that allow them to enter the community again, live scot-free away from ICE, they're free to commit crimes against the Latino community. So sanctuary laws don't help the immigrant community, they hurt them.
Now, I referenced earlier the crime spree that happened last summer after after Elrich signed this executive order. The blowback was so severe, it was so embarrassing to the county that he had to go in public and essentially walk that back and say, okay, we're going to do some cooperation with ICE. But yet they want to have it both ways. It seems like they want to appeal to their base and say they're sanctuary, but then they want to say, oh, we're not. Based on what you found, what's the verdict on Montgomery County? Are they a sanctuary county, even though they might not want to admit it?
Absolutely, it's a sanctuary county. Even if they don't want to say so, the fact is their practices in place make it very hard for ICE and ICE agents to do their job. When you have practices in place that allow for illegal aliens charged, maybe even convicted with serious crimes, to evade ICE apprehension and go back into the community and have the ability to reoffend, I mean, that's a sanctuary policy. That's the sanctuary community. And certainly it seems like Elrich is trying to straddle the fence here by, because it's a very, very liberal enclave is what it is. And it's backlash in the media. It was very embarrassing. All these aliens who were being, just again, charged with sexual abuse crimes, rape, charges and everything. So it seems he was trying to straddle the fence there. But at the end of the day, I mean, the time logs speak for themselves. They're not cooperating with ICE. So it is a sanctuary policy in effect.
Okay. Jason Hopkins, outstanding work on the investigation. Thank you for sharing that with us. You can find more details on this investigation at IRLI.org. You can also follow us at Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Parler. And also go to IRLI.org for more on investigations, our litigation news. We've got lawyers involved in cases at many different court levels. So check that out, and please hit the subscribe button on this video so you can get more of this content. We'll leave it there. Jason, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.